turn it on, let's see what happens. Okay, back to pressure washer testing. This is the Adams Realm. So in other words, this is a typical, you don't need soap dispensers. That's stupid anyway. I don't know why any detailing pressure washer would have a soap dispenser on it, because that's stupid. You'll never use that. So seems pretty clear to me that they put together just a check the box Chinese built to order. And of course this, so this is the Realm I bought from Amazon, which I'm guessing is the Chinese house brand. I'm not really sure. Seems that there are a few variants of this. I think the Yard Force one, it looks like this one too. So anyway, funny how they have an R for rights reserved. That's kind of a joke with any of this stuff. So the Realm comes with a hydraulic hose with this goofy proprietary type fitting. I guess it's not really proprietary anymore if everybody's using it. It's just that nobody makes anything for these type of fittings. Comes with, so the gun, this gun that it comes with is pretty much garbage. This is probably M22. We're gonna play with these fittings right now before I go out and start sweating my nuts off outside. But this one has an interesting short little wand. So it has a short extension, but then a really long regular. So clearly different than any of the other companies. These also weigh a ton. They're like 50 pounds. So I'm gonna tear this thing apart, the Adams apart, and see if it's possible that there is some sort of fitting that we could adapt to get this stupid hose reel off of here, because you got a 25-foot really junk. You know, if you can kink a pressure washer hose, you're not off to a good start. But it has some weird JIC type fitting with some weird threads on it that's probably some sort of metric or maybe BSPP. So the gun that it comes with the Adams is a upgraded gun with this weird copy of my setup with these. Somehow they made these cheaper than the regular quick disconnects, but it's got this weird housing on there. Anyway, so you got a quick disconnect that's set up like this with, again, some weird type of fitting on the inlet to the gun, so no capability to really add any aftermarket parts. So what I want to see, I'm going to take this apart. One, I want to see what the motor is, see if it's the same thing as the Sunjoe's. I suspect it's not. Bryce made a comment that maybe there's a piece of metal, like a piece of lead in here, they put in here to see if it make it look and feel heavier, which I wouldn't be surprised. So anyway, these are rated at 2,400 PSI or something ridiculous like that, and 1.56 gallons per minute, which is also probably bull crap. So we're gonna test it and find out. Yeah, 1.5 GPM, 2,400 PSI. Maybe on Mars, but not in the world I live. So let's see about taking this thing apart first and hope that it works when I'm done with taking it apart. So they put a 25-foot hose on this thing. That means you got to lug this 50-pound unit around everywhere. All right, so we've got 1,000 screws to take out. So I don't know, it looks like these two need to be taken off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we've got some work to do here. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to fit a screwdriver or what in there. I don't have a freaking 12-foot long screwdriver. Granted, you're not supposed to take this apart, but I'm doing it anyway. I've got all these freaking tools and not the one that I need. This is probably a bad day for me to do this. I'm already angry. That's the thing that, you know, I talked to Derek, the CEO, about this. He called me after I was talking about how Adams, I felt like they've lost their way. Like, I don't understand why you'd even come out with something like this. It makes me not want to buy the other stuff. When you don't know anything about pressure washers and you're just making it just to sell it. That's the question on this thing. I mean, there's no, not really a question for me. It's just not good. So why either do it right or don't do it? So it makes me not want to buy, like they're working on all kinds of tech on coatings and working on all kinds of stuff with wireless polishers, but it makes me not want to even consider it because I see something like this. Okay, handles off. This is about to get ugly here, people. Close your eyes. Might want to take your children into another room. This is going to be a $350 sacrifice. What's that show where those two idiots like take stuff apart? I guess it's not the one idiot, the dad doesn't know anything about anything. He's got this giant channel. Yeah. He just
complain about the tires on his Tesla.
But he doesn't know anything. I think I'll just be able to break it off pretty easily. We can resort to that in a minute. I just want to see if I can modify it. You need like a tiny, but 40 feet long screwdriver. There we go. Okay, we can see what we need now. I got a capacitor. I should have just gone home and got the right screwdriver. Okay. So now we know what we got. So I'm going to get a cease and desist on this one. The reason I'm doing this is I want to take it apart so I can figure out, is I want to see if we can put a different hose on this thing, because this hose is junk and there's not going to be any way to adapt it. See, look, this is the soap injection area, which of course we would never need because you would never want to use that. But so I'll show you on the Realm here in a second, but there's a GIC, okay, so here's our jumper hose, right? So this goes from the outlet of the pressure washer into the, whatever you call it, into the hose reel that I just threw across the room. Here's a pressure switch. Yeah, that's a pressure sensor, it's gotta be. Yeah, so this is what senses whether or not we're flowing or not. So when you pull the trigger, then this either cuts or adds power. Yeah, this pump is different than a Sunjo, a different manufacturer. Yeah, the Sunjos and ARs are all made in the same place, but this pump looks a lot different. I almost want to cut this cover off so I can really see better. So here's the inlet. It's funny how they, like, I didn't twist that, that was twisted. That's gonna hurt flow for sure. Interior flow, I mean, look at that. So that's just some lazy person. This should be straight. There's inlet, pretty sizable winding. But this is the pump head, this tiny little section here is the pump head. This is where all the magic happens. So the problem is, what I was hoping to find was some sort of threaded post here where I could just easily put on a fitting and then just do like a little hole saw, a little exit hole. So if I could make a little hole and then I could kind of screw into this and I could eliminate the hose reel, but we're not going to be able to do that. That's interesting how the pump fixes to the back of the plastic first. But now we know what we're working with. We know that we really can't do anything with this pump. We can't add anything to this. So sorry to break it apart, but I just don't have the right screw or the right patience. So let me get these screws out of here and then we can put it back together and go out and test it. But man, that stinks. You know, if this does do decent numbers, it would be nice to be able to modify the pump or modify how it's connected, you know, using a better hose, better gun, better wand. So to me, this has zero viability because we can't change anything unless someday I figure out some way to get some fittings that, you know, this is like a Nilfisk fitting. It's a lot like a Karcher fitting, but the Karchers are flat. It's like on the K2 through K5s, they have a flat section, so then it's really proprietary. So yeah, we're gonna have to put this back on and leave it. Oh, there was another screw right here. How did I miss that one? It just didn't come all the way out.
Only slightly used.
I don't think I'll be, I bet you someone will still want this. It's gonna work. Yeah, the bottom, we just have to hope it doesn't fall apart. Let's put our rims back on. That's really disappointing. I mean, if this did have decent specs, and it kind of stinks that we can't get it to work. I guess I shouldn't call the what's inside guys dumb if I just hack this thing apart like that. Just because I didn't have the right screwdriver. Man, that stinks. This was kind of cool, kind of a neat idea how they just put a dummy plug on the side. So there will be no extending the hose. Actually, you know what? Grab me the Comet fitting. Let's see, this might work. Boom, okay, sweet. I think that's good. Okay, that's sweet. And this converts it to 3/8. Shoot, all that work for nothing. Okay, I do have these fittings then. This doesn't help us on the Realm version, but it helps us on the Adams version. So what I can do is just leave this like so. We converted this to 3/8. Now we can put a 3/8 coupler on here and do a better gun and wand. So this comes with a tool, which is cool, nice. But these plastic threads on the inlet is a really bad thing, because you can easily tighten this down too tightly. This is pretty much guaranteed to leak. Yeah, see, it already broke the threads. That's a terrible, I mean, that's gonna break, almost guaranteed. If you kick this wrong. Okay, so first modification we'll be able to do is we'll be able to put this fitting on. I wanna test it with the factory setup first, but we'll do this. And then we'll be able to put a Mosmatic gun on. So let me get a 3/8 coupler. Okay, so what we do is we take, this is my Comet fitting. This converts BSPP, to whatever size that is, 1/4 inch-ish to 3/8. So we can go like this, and then add on the aftermarket gun. Okay, so that solves our problem for the Adams. And then we gotta put one of these on here, which is gonna leak. But for this test, we're gonna throw this Adams away anyway, so, because I ruined it. So that's gonna leak like crazy. So be really careful if you have one of these. I wouldn't use this tool, you know, because you're gonna break the plastic. So we broke the plastic already. You know, the metal against plastic will break the thread. Same thing here. You need to be careful with all of this. So that's going to leak. So at least we can do, you know, get rid of this contraption and get rid of this thing and do something a little better. But I don't have a fitting for this. So if you want to use this gun, you're out of luck. And I'm sure you may be able to source something, but good luck with that. Okay, so we got this set up. We'll test with their nozzles. Then we'll test with the Mosmatic. The Realm, we don't have a choice. I'm gonna test this just to make sure it's the same pump, which I'm almost guaranteed it is. What they may do, we'll see what a lot of times they'll do in these pressure washers, they'll just change the size of the tip. So like on like the ARs and the Sunjos, the pumps are the same on pretty much all of them. There's a junk pump and a slightly less junky pump in like the Sunjos and the ARs, and then they just put different tips on them. So the lower end pumps have this weird proprietary fitting, and then the higher end pumps usually have a different, like the M22 15mm fitting, and then all they do is just change the size of the orifice in order to adjust the pressure. And then they change the specs on the thing, but they're all the same pump. So it's kind of a pointless exercise to have 37 different models to try to, you know, convince people to buy them at different price points. But we're screwed on this gun and wand and combination, because this has the same weird proprietary outlet. It's just this one. So the Adams is a hose reel type. So Adams has the hose reel with the jumper, so you can see there's a dummy hole here, and then a dummy hole. Actually, that's not a dummy hole. I think I just knocked out one of the tips. Yeah, there's another grommet that would go in there for the other tip. So there's a dummy hole on this one that it's just depending on how you configure it with the Chinese manufacturer on what type of connection it has. So they chose the hose reel option, where this one is non-hose reel option. Both are equally messed up, other than this one we can't change the hose. This is a much better, this is just a hydraulic line, which is not a very good pressure washer hose because they're not very pliable. But we don't have a choice. We're stuck with this gun-in-one combo. But we can use a foam cannon with this. I'll show you how. Let me get some quick disconnects for this. This is probably, here is the setup that we can do for foam cannon. So this comes with, so each foam cannon comes with a brass 1/4 inch to M22 connection for this purpose. Then we put an M22 coupler, which is big and bulky, but I mean, we got this big bulky wand anyway. So that's at least a little bit more usable. So that's how I would modify this pressure washer. Now this is 14 millimeter. So we're all set up here on this Realm to be able to use a foam cannon. And I almost guarantee we're gonna need a 1.1 millimeter orifice. So here's a stubby fitting. So this one here is a little bit, just a tiny little bit more milled, a little shorter, not quite as fat as this one. So when I put it into a short, shallow depth type fitting like this one, now it fits much easier. And these actually come with the foam cannon, they're zinc. I have the short version also in stainless, versus, remember this one, I had to really beat the crap out of it to get it to fit. All this stuff you figure out through lots of trial and error. Okay, so we've got this set up. Let me go torque these down. Let me torque this so that it at least doesn't leak. And I think we're ready to go out and try these out. I'll grab some nozzles. We'll grab all our supplies and our current meter, whatever you call that, amperage meter. Okay, we'll see you outside. Realm pressure washer. Let's see what happens here. Oh, sounds better than all the other ones. Okay. So, auto shut off, which is nice. This one's rated at 1.76 gallons per minute, which is a joke, which we're gonna find out here in a second. So our output is 1300 PSI, not quite 2400. And I'll just show you, let's put the 15 degree on here. Let's see how much this changes. All the other pressure washers I did with the 40 degree, so, except for the Ryobis. So the 15 degree bumps me up to 1400 PSI. 1300 PSI with the 40 degree nozzle.
This one's rated at 2600 at 2400.
Oh, 24, 3000, what's the difference? Okay, stopwatch, 3, 2, 1, go. This thing certainly sounds more substantial than the other one. The other pressure washers do. Doesn't make any pukey sounds. So the good news, whatever pressure we get here, if we bring it down to 1000 PSI, we'll get more flow. But the problem is we're stuck with this hose combo. So this one really isn't much of an option for anybody who wants to modify. What's our current draw?
It is 13.2.
Okay, 13.2 amps drawn. Let's see what we got here.
Wait a minute. We want what?
Pounds and ounces.
So you wanted just pounds.
Oh yeah, just pounds, yeah. You remember what our calculation was?
Yes. Got it.
All right, so 14.0.
7 divided by 8.34, 1.40.
Okay, 1.4 gallons a minute at 1300 PSI. It's not bad.
Rated at 1.75 gallons.
Yeah, well, the rating is bullcrap. So 1.4, so we're gonna get more than that here when we bring the pressure down. I wonder if we'll get that, around 1.5 GPM. All right, let's start playing with pressure. Let's get our SPL test. 66, pretty quiet compared to, and it's a pleasant sound in comparison to a lot of the other ones. Oh yeah, we can't modify this. It doesn't matter. I guess the only thing we can do is put a different tip on it, right? We can't change the gun. So yeah, let's give me one of those 3.0s, see what happens. 3.0 40, because we can't change the wand, but we can change the tip. There we go, 1,000 PSI on the dot. So let's see what we get here. 3, 2, 1, go. $14.5, 14.6.
1.475.
All right, it's 1.475 GPM with a 3.0 nozzle. Seems about right. A little different than 1.76 at 2,600 PSI. So that's at 1,000 PSI, which is about what we want. So, pretty standard for all these cheap pressure washers, but at least this one doesn't sound as bad. Let's just test our foam cannon real quickly, see how much current we draw. What do we got?
12.6.
Okay, so 1.1 millimeter orifice. Seems weak, but we're getting about 1,400 PSI with the foam cannon, but getting lots of foam, so that's good. All right, Realm done. Got a darn 30 or 50 foot power cord and a 25 foot hose, and it's totally backwards. You need a 25 foot power cord and a 50 foot hose. So again, the unfortunate thing with this, although I would never buy this anyway, or recommend anybody buy this, you can't do an aftermarket setup on this one. Aftermarket hose or gun. Apparently wrapping the power cord doesn't fit either. The power cord's so long that it doesn't even fit on the darn thing. All right, get this thing out of my sight. And how is this supposed to work? Like this? Like, what are you supposed to do with this thing? Like that? I guess. Jesus. The only way I'm going to be able to test it
Without the gun.
is putting their nozzle if you knew anything about pressure washers, you wouldn't set it up this way. So I can't test their gun. But the guns really, I haven't found how they don't make a difference. It's the tip. So we're just going to put this nozzle, their 40-degree nozzle, on the Mosmetic gun. It's the only way I can get the gauge in line here. Because this stupid thing has this weird proprietary inlet. Or not proprietary, but weird sized inlet. So that's how we're gonna have to do it. Test it with their tip. Okay, turn the water on. Turn the water off. This needs to be taped. Shoot. Probably need to torque this down too, instead of just by hand. Turn it on, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
All right, let's try that. Okay. Ah! Ooh, 1,800. So grab me the nozzle off the Realm. Ah. Yeah, 1575, so maybe this pump is a little bit different. Wait a second. What happened? $1,300. Yeah, give me that thing nozzle back. Yeah, so 1575 with the Realm nozzle, but so that doesn't really matter because you won't have a Realm. But yeah, 1300 with the Adams nozzle. So 15. Same 1300. This one sounds different, doesn't it? This one sounds a little jankier. No, that's not why. No, I mean the actual motor sounds different. Like the shut off is different. Okay, let's do our GPM test with our crappy hose. This is the last pressure wash we're doing today, that's for sure. I gave it an extra half a second. So again, the stock gun is gonna do the same thing, at least very close. We're right up against it then. 14.3 amps is what it's drawing. 15 pounds, oh shoot. 15.1 pounds. So that's deep, yeah, the 1.56 is pretty.
1.5.
Yeah, 1.53. This is a 1.53 GPM. So we should get a little more GPM when we bring that pressure down. So we're probably gonna get maybe 1.6 and change. 67.
67.
Yeah, so it is a little bit louder. 3.0. That's 1100. We probably want a 3.5. There we go. 1000 PSI, 3.5 nozzle. Let's go. So the pump configuration, the way it's probably wound is clearly different. I guarantee it's the same pump. Could also be the hose reel a little bit. I doubt it, but it is slightly different than the Realm. Same pressure, but a little bit more flow. And that just could be Chinese inconsistency. Just a little bit, 15.7. Yeah, 1.61 GPM at 1000 PSI with a 3.5 nozzle. How much current did that draw?
12.4.
All right, let's check the foam cannon, and we're done with this one. Foam's good.
15.9.
Yeesh. So we're overworking the machine. It's a 14.5 amp capable. So I need to put a 1.25 nozzle. Orifice in, yeah. Let's see here. So we still got plenty of foam.
12.9.
Okay, yeah, you need to run a 1.25 on this machine if you don't want to blow up the pump. That's how we know if the pump is running more than it's rated. That to me would tell me that I probably don't want to use a smaller orifice on the foam cannon. So you want to run a 1.25 on the Adams then, based on this test. Okay, we'll have this stuff up in the store. I'm going to create another other pressure washers category. Again, the reason why I haven't published the spreadsheet is because I'm not done with it yet. So I'll publish it, and I need to copyright it. So I want to get most of it compiled so I can copyright the thing. We'll have packages set up for what you can and can't do. With the Adams, you'd want to do a different hose, different wand, different gun. But again, to spend $350 on this thing doesn't make any sense. Same thing with the Realm. I mean, the Karchers, the Ryopes, the Greenworks are getting similar specs, meaning we are getting 1.6 GPM, but they're getting 1.4, 1.5. That 2/10 isn't worth all the extra you got to go through to make these things work. And there's some real disadvantages, like the plastic post is going to break over time. The plastic inlet, that thing's going to break off. you kick it wrong, or if you tighten it too much, like right now, ours is already ruined. So I wouldn't buy these. I would buy again, the one I would buy is still the Karcher, and I would buy a Greenworks second and probably a Ryobi third. Stay away from all the ones with the funky Chinese fittings. So anyway, thanks for watching this one. I'll do the Stanley test next week, or maybe later this week. We'll see. And then I've got the AR 630 TSS Hot to test, and I'll teach you a little bit about why, you know, having a hot water specific pressure washer doesn't matter, because you can't get that much heat unless you have a separate boiler or furnace or something like that. So anyway, thanks for watching this one. Stay tuned, more pressure washer testing. I'll probably buy another round of, I probably want to get a hold of the Bosches and some of the others, but Stanleys are up next, which is kind of pointless because they're just ARs. They're AR Blues, rebadged, rebranded, same thing with Craftsman. So anyway, catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.